Hi, this is Erica Norton, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video. I'm very excited to have with us today Attorney Nicole Reeves Lavallee. She owns a family and real estate law firm in the Worcester area, and she and her team are fantastic. Today, we are going to be talking about Pendente Lite fees, and I'm going to turn this over to you, Nicole, with even just telling us what does Pendente Lite mean?
Pendente Lite means pending the current action. So, am I entitled to attorney's fees while I'm waiting for this case to be resolved? And that's exactly what it is. I need an advance, if you will, so that I can have my attorney paid, but I need to do it from some other source, whether it be your spouse's sources or the selling of an asset.
Does it matter if you have enough money to pay or not? Is this for people that have low income, or what's the circumstance?
Um, it can vary, obviously, depending on what type of case it is, but there obviously has to be some type of discrepancy. If neither party has any money, then you're not going to get an advance because there's not going to be assets to divide, right? So obviously there has to be some kind of asset to begin with. Usually there's a discrepancy in income. So one party makes 150,000, the other party makes 40,000, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they can barely afford put food on the table. So they certainly don't have the money to go out and hire an attorney. So that type of situation is usually ideal, but it could be somebody that is disabled or lost their job, and doesn't have funds, or just again, we're trying to level that playing field.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. We've talked about this with certain cases where one side may even, may pay the other side's law fees. Sorry, three, two, one. One side may pay the other side's law fees, but I mean, this seems like they're actually going to go ahead and split some of the assets so that that's an asset that that person would get half of anyway. And so then they can use that money to help pay for the fees right now that they need done.
Absolutely. So again, say for example, your husband has paid his attorney $6,000, and you're going, but I have no money to pay. Like, maybe you hire me on a LAR basis just to go in and represent you for this one particular court hearing. And you go, look, my client needs support as well. You're paid, $6,000. I need to get paid $6,000. So again, we can start out and both represent the clients with the equal amount of money. So that's one way. And again, how did that person use the funds? Was it in their bank account? Was it in a retirement account that he had to liquidate? So again, we're going to be able to equalize that playing field, that what you took is what I'm going to be able to take. And it's just so that, again, we have to do mandatory discovery. We have to do certain things, especially in a divorce case. So why shouldn't I be entitled to that? Because we do have a house. And at some point, we're either going to have to do a buyout or we're going to have to sell the house. So we can deal with the allocation of those funds given to me in advance now.
Right. And what a lot of people don't realize before they go into this is that not everybody knows how many assets the family actually has. One person may be controlling it, hiding it, or just not letting the other person have any information, not even necessarily hiding it. There might just be someone who is in charge and does not feel like the other person has any right to know or have an opinion. So you go through a divorce, and a lot of times people are shocked by either the lack or how flush they might be in assets and funding.
Absolutely. And again, you hire a Boston attorney and you're in Worcester. Well, wait a minute, how can they afford them? Their hourly rate's more. They have to pay for them to travel here. Again, these are the things that you just go, maybe something needs to happen. Because when you have somebody that's now pro se and you've got the Boston attorney that's charging $500 or $600 an hour, how do you compete with that? I have a 10th grade education. I don't really understand this stuff. I'm out on disability. You know, that person is already behind the eight ball. So again, we're going to go, no, hold off. But again, the problem is somebody needs to make this motion. It doesn't just happen because the court says, oh, this is unequal. So you need to consult with an attorney, find an attorney willing to take on the case at least for a short period of time so that you can ask for those Pendente Lite fees.
And that's really where having an attorney to help you even figure out what's possible. How many of you out there even knew what that term was? I mean, it's not a common term that you just use in your everyday life. That is a law term. And if you've been through a case, you may know what it is. You may not. Unless you're a lawyer, you probably don't know. So if you do need any kind of counsel and you're in the Worcester area, or even, just a lot of places in Massachusetts, I know that you cover, um, it's absolutely well worth your while to go into Nicole's office and find out what they can do for you, because even just a first consultation, she can give you a lot of this information and give you an insight to what the strategy might be to help you with your case. And it's incredible to find out what you don't know. How many shocked people come into your office for the first time ever being in front of a lawyer, Nicole?
Probably at least 85%. And there's always something that you go, oh, okay, I had the right to do that. It was funny. I had somebody the other day and they came in with a contract and I said, well, what does the contract say? And they said, I don't know. Okay, well, I'll read it for you. And I'm like, right here, it says you could do that. I never knew. Well, I can't explain the lack of reading comprehension, but I can certainly point out to you that, look, it says it right here. These are things that are happening. So sometimes it is just as black and white as that. And sometimes it's that gray area like, what is this Pendente Lite? What, you're speaking a foreign language? I am. I'm speaking Latin. But at the end of the day, again, you're not going to be familiar with it because unless you do a Google for it or even know how to spell it, spell check won't catch it. It doesn't like that word, let me tell you. So it's something that, again, you're not going to see and you're not going to know unless you come to an attorney. But that's what we're here for, is to educate you guys so that you can get a better sense of where you need to be and what you need to do and how you need to go about doing it.
I mean, absolutely. And it is shocking. I always bring up this quote, but you never know someone better than when you're going through divorce with them. You never know what to do better than when you meet Nicole, because she really does have a lot of great information. Now, I guess you had mentioned, the assets and finding out about the assets and doing some research. How do you suggest, like, what are some of the ways to do that research to find out even what you have as a family?
Well, I think it goes back to, you look around the house first. If you're living together, look around the house. Where do you keep your bank statements? Hopefully not online, but maybe you have the paper statements or the documentation. What does your CPA say? Where are your tax returns? Those are all really good things to just kind of get a sense of it. And the more you get for that, the better off I am and able to file that motion. Because now I have supporting documentation. Look, 2 months ago, there was $20,000 in the account. We can use that money and let them say, well, there isn't that now. And the judge is going to go, well, sir, well, where did it go? So unless you're saying, hey, look, it was to pay past due mortgage or to bring the car out of repossession or something like that, big ticket items or tuition for college, then really the judge is going to go, well, wait a minute. No. You don't get to use that money. And then the other person loses out on it, really. So they're going to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Because inevitably somebody knows about the breakup first. Right? Somebody knows, and that person, you'll look through their bank records later when you're going through the divorce, and you'll see, oh wow, they had a consultation with this lawyer, they had a consultation with that lawyer. Why is there a $500 bill, a $300 bit there? Sorry, a $300 bill there for these attorneys. a few months back, or even like some people are surprised by how far back the planning started. Heck, there are some people that are stashing away cash here and there all along for years, and they've got a stash of cash somewhere, maybe in a shoebox, maybe in their locker at work. I mean, it's crazy some of the stories that you hear. I mean, is that true? You hear those stories, right?
I do. I've heard a lot of those stories, and the reality is that's the reason why the court automatically goes back 3 years in any divorce. I'm going to take a look at all those 3 years of records. I'm going to review all of that. And then once I review all of that, then I'm going to make a determination as to where where the assets are, whether or not there's hidden assets, whether or not we need to go back farther. I mean, it opens a whole can of worms. And again, if you don't have an attorney, you one don't even know what you're looking at. Two, you don't even know how to ask it.
Well, I mean, I know someone who went through their documents and they saw thousands of dollars of cash being withdrawn every single month for years. And that was just the 3 years. Who knows how long it had been going on? Who knows where that money is? It's disturbing when you find that out, and a lot of people just don't know, and they just trust someone. Or, maybe they figure, "Oh, that's not my job." But when you're going through it, I know that when you find out about that cash, it can be something that you can do within the settlement to get some of it back. I think that was like one of the really smart things that you did. And it's just like, okay, well, this is how many thousands we can see is missing. All you have to do is tell us where it is, what you did for the family with that money, and then you get a settlement if they can't answer. And that's like so smart. That is just so smart.
And it happens, unfortunately, more frequently than you'd guess. I mean, the reality is, I have a client right now, and the husband saying, "Well, this was just for everyday expenses." Well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. How do you spend $200,000 on ordinary everyday expenses in a year? Holy crap! I might want to have your life, because nobody can do that. And so again, I'm going, you're just taking out withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal. And I know that all of your bills are paid by auto pay on your bank statements. So what is that? It's all free found money. And so again, that's where you look at it and you go, we need to do more digging.
And two, you'll find out sometimes that people have had either a huge increase in their income, and sometimes you find out that they've had a decrease, or maybe they haven't even worked for a while and you didn't even know. They're not making the mortgage statement, the mortgage payments, and then someone's gonna foreclose in your house, and you didn't even know. You had no idea that you were in any trouble at all financially. I mean, those are some of the scary things that come out.
Absolutely. Another one that's kind of scary is the people that you didn't know had a gambling addiction, whether it be casinos or, the stupid apps on your phone, um, Google Play and all this crap that you just keep paying, 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 paying. We've had those. We've had also had people that are winning lottery tickets. So they're being paid from Massachusetts Lottery. Wait a minute, what are we doing that for? So again, you go, well, okay, so are we taking money out because you need to have cash to buy the lottery tickets? So now I've got winnings. So now is there a gambling problem with lottery tickets? So there's a whole slew of things that we can come up with by looking at those bank statements.
Yeah, absolutely. Because cash is really difficult to track, but you can look for the withdrawals. I mean, unfortunately, if somebody gets paid cash sometimes for work, there's not a lot you can do about that. Or maybe they've got a second job that's under the table. There's not a lot you can do about that. But um, you can hire a forensics accountant. I mean, that's one thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different options, and that's where again it goes back to if you can get a Pendente Lite fees, you may be able to get it up to a certain point. But then again, maybe you paid your attorney, but now it's getting really expensive because you didn't realize that all of this discovery was outstanding. And oh my God, you went down a rabbit hole, but it's a rabbit hole that really needs to be gone down, right? So you need more money because you need to hire the expert because they have an expert because we've got thousands and thousands of dollars that are missing. So again, you can ask for Pendente Lite fees both at the time of the filing as well as, when we're in the case or we're almost done or, we're getting to trial and it shouldn't have to go to trial because there's one issue and it should be easily resolved. We're talking about literally, an hour or a week in a week of parenting time, things of that nature. You're going, I can't afford to do all of this. So again, that option is available at any point in time.
Absolutely. Was there anything else you'd like to tell us about Pendente Latte fees and how they're used, how you can get them?
I will say this, the only good bad thing about it, I guess if you will, is sometimes it is just in advance and the judge may very well rule overall against you where those attorney's fees are now coming out of your portion at the time of the divorce. But if you think about it this way, I had an attorney, they helped me out, they helped me find more money, they helped me do all of these things, they helped me get custody, whatever it is, you've got that ability that you've gotten an advantage of it. So yeah, even if it comes out of your fees a year later in the divorce, it's okay. Not ideal, but at least it makes sense, right? The other option, of course, is that the judge doesn't take it out because again, it's leveling the playing field and your spouse had that same benefit. So they already took the money out. So again, it already leveled the playing field. So it could be that a benefit or it could be sort of a burden, but again, I think there's a benefit for it during the entire case.
Absolutely. And I think too, just being able to level that playing field. I mean, there are people who are going through divorce who do not think that their spouse has the wherewithal. They know that they don't make as much money and they feel like they're just going to walk away with everything. And it's because their spouse that they're going to divorce, number one, didn't know about it, didn't collect the information, didn't save any money, didn't do any of that because they didn't know. And number two, they were taking care of the kids, or maybe they just didn't have a job from the beginning that made as much. I mean, you got school teachers and lawyers that get married sometimes. You've got a lot of pairs like that. And it's really sad. It's sad because if the people don't have the information, they will get hosed.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's there. So that you can at least walk away and not be completely devastated financially as well. And again, the court's going to say what is fair and reasonable, but if you're not doing the digging and you don't know, then it's not going to be on a financial statement. It's not going to be something that you can even bring up to a judge because it doesn't exist as far as you're aware. And that's the key point. Fair and reasonable is fair and reasonable based off the disclosures you're able to get. And if you can't get those disclosures or you don't know how to get those disclosures, it's to your detriment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way people that aren't lawyers in this field of family law will know half of the stuff that they need to know, even 10% of the stuff that they need to know about just even how things work within the courts. So you have no idea, but you have to write briefs and you have to act a certain way in court, and you maybe don't know when you're supposed to get decisions. Maybe you make an idiot of yourself because you don't know and you don't mean to, but you didn't have the money you thought to hire an attorney. So you really end up, not getting the settlement that you could have gotten by not having a level playing field. So, I mean, I think that this is great. It can work for people. I mean, and that's really the goal. Like, everybody gets a fair settlement, everyone's equally unhappy. I've heard people say that's a good settlement when everyone's equally unhappy. And so, I mean, I think that these fees are fantastic to help people out.
And that's what they're there to do.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sure that you have just saved a lot of lives and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime for some people who didn't know how to even the playing field out. So this is fantastic. We really thank you so much for coming on here every week, Nicole. Your information is priceless.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. We will look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great weekend.